How much inheritance tax will you have to pay? More to the point, how on earth do you calculate it? Great question. It's something that we answer in this video using our free online inheritance tax calculator. Hi everyone, my name is Simon Mishevich from Optimize Accountants, and in this video we are going to be talking about inheritance tax and how you can calculate it yourself. Now there's going to be a link that should be in the video but also in the video description, so make sure that you get those links so that you can use this free inheritance tax calculator or Iht tax calculator. What I've done for you in this, you'll see that there's a bunch of links telling you about how you calculate inheritance tax. So there's how much you will pay, gives you some ideas about the forms that you need to complete for inheritance tax. That's after the event. You've also got the inheritance tax calculation, gives you some details about that, what lifetime allowances are, what is going to be factored into the inheritance tax. And then you've got some exemptions and what you can avoid from inheritance tax. So there's a bunch of really useful information for you there. And I then go into detail about wills, estates, etc. Things that you need to have in place for that. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting because this is now the tax calculator. And what I've done for you is there are 4 columns. There's the first column on the far depending which way you're looking at on the screen, but it should be on the left hand side, is the total used assets. So that's the labels of the type of assets we're going to be talking about. Then you've got the asset value. This is the gross asset value, so ignoring debts. And then in the middle there you've got the debts and liabilities and the net asset value. And what we're going to do is base it on someone that has a home, let's say £500,000. So 50,000, let's change that to 500,000. The mortgage may be 100,000. So straight away what we're looking at is a net asset value for that house of 400,000. And if that's for one person, straight away that is above their lifetime allowance for inheritance tax of 325. However, you get this top up to £500,000 per person. So in actual fact, even though it's above the Iht threshold of 325, if we scroll down, you'll notice that there is going to be no inheritance tax for this particular person in this situation. So the narrative is above to clarify what lifetime allowances are and your home nil rate band as well, which is the 875,000. So go ahead, read that. But for the calculation, we can move on. And we're going to also assume that they may have a car, a nice-ish car at 30,000, no debt on that. And the net asset, which it will be subject to inheritance tax, will be £30,000. And now you'll notice that the amount net asset subject to Iht is 430,000. And let's just say they've got some art of there as well. Let's just say 10,000. And no debt against it either, so now it's 40. What you'll notice is that then we've got broken this down. If you are a property investor that have a limited company or properties in your own names, this is obviously separate from your home because that's an extra asset. So it says here property portfolio excluding own home. So let's imagine you've got 800,000 as an asset base and 500,000 buy-to-let mortgages. 300,000 then would be subject to inheritance tax. And we are assuming one person in this description, but I'll show you how this will be combined for a couple. And if you are single, then just put your numbers. If you are a couple, it would be better for you to use both of your assets and combine them so you can see what values you'll be looking at. Limited company shares. Now, this is not just the net assets of the capital you put in, but you need to have your properties revalued. You should be doing that anyway for the financial reporting standards for your limited company accounts. If you're not doing that, your accountant is not helping you properly. You need to have your assets rebased pretty much every year for your limited company. So make sure you get that done. But what we'll do is say limited company shares, let's say it's 700,000. And again, you may have debts inside of your limited company. That could be loans. Don't include direct loan accounts because ultimately that is a debt to you, so it's really still your asset, so ignore that. But what you do need to think about is mortgages. So what we'll see is £250,000 worth of mortgages, and it gives us some amounts. There are some other sections that you can complete, but we'll ignore these for now. Anything that's grey, you won't be able to enter details in. It's pretty much protected. So all the fields in white, you'll be filling in yourself. And then there's some assets that are not subject to inheritance tax, funnily enough. And this is where you've got pensions. So let's imagine you had £500,000 worth of pensions. That would not be subject to inheritance tax. It's ignored. As would be limited company shares, where you've got trade activities such as professional services. If you're selling products or services, then there is a potential, note the word potential please, that it will be exempt from inheritance tax. So make sure that you get some professional advice to help you with that. And we'll put in 25,000, not much big values in there. Number of people to include, we'll put this to 2. And now what you'll see is that the allowances here. So Iht Allowances is 650,000, 325 each person, times by 2, 650. You've got home allowance as well because your house is above a certain value. So you've got £1 million worth of allowances. Iht transfers made in the last 7 years. Now, if you've made a gift to someone or already in the last 7 years, that needs to be taken into account for Iht because it's a potential exempt transfer. So let's imagine that we've got 200,000. What that will do is that it will say Iht allowances remaining is 800,000. And then what that will then do is say, right, okay, I want to know what your total assets is, which is 1190, so 1.2 million-ish, minus the £800,000 Iht allowances, gives you, subject to Iht of 390,000, and Iht liability is 40%, so 156,000 in this case. And that's where you will probably need to flick up from this, because that might be a bit of a frightener of how you then minimize that. Going through this particular article, I won't go through much more, but then that will give you all the information you need. So hopefully this gives you a proactive approach to inheritance tax planning to work out how much your future Iht liability is likely to be and what you could do now to save on that Iht liability. There are many, many ways that Optimize Accountants can help you minimize inheritance tax, and all you need to do is click on consultation and then click on the page there to book a consultation with us. So hopefully that's been useful. I'll see you again in the next video.